There comes a moment in every life when the weight of it all becomes unbearable. When you wake up and feel like you're running in circles, chasing deadlines, scrolling endlessly, saying yes when you want to say no, smiling when inside you're crumbling. And then one morning, it hits you. This can't be it. This can't be the life you're meant to live. You see, most of us don't fall apart in one big, dramatic collapse. We erode slowly, day by day. A little compromise here, a little distraction there. And before we realize it, we've built a life that doesn't even feel like ours, a life that looks fine on the outside but feels empty on the inside. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you're there right now, dragging yourself through routines you no longer believe in, avoiding the mirror because you don't recognize who you've become, stuck between who you are and who you could be. And the scariest part? You start to wonder if change is even possible. But here's the truth the Stoics remind us of. Your life can pivot in an instant. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment. You don't need to hit rock bottom to start again. The reset button is always within your reach. And sometimes, all it takes is 7 days of radical clarity, focus, and discipline to break the cycle. Now, I'm not here to tell you that your entire life will magically transform in a week. But in 7 days, you can plant seeds that grow into something unshakable. You can strip away the noise, realign with what matters, and walk with purpose again. Because in the end, life isn't about waiting for change. It's about creating it, deliberately, courageously, one day at a time. Think about it. If you continue on the same path you're on today, where will you be in 7 days? Probably in the exact same place. But what if instead of repeating the same patterns, you choose to reset? What if you spend the next 7 days rebuilding the foundation of your life with clarity, focus, discipline, and purpose? What could your future look like then? This video is not just another motivational pep talk. It's a blueprint, inspired by Stoic wisdom, that will show you how to reset your life in one focused week. 7 days of choices that could change your direction, your energy, your outlook. Because while you may not be able to rebuild the entire house of your life in a week, you can lay down the bricks that make the rest possible. And that's where transformation truly begins. So, if you've been drifting, lost, or quietly desperate for a new start, stay with me. These next 7 days could be the turning point. Not someday, not eventually, not when life finally gives you a break, but right now, starting today, because if you don't take control of your life, someone else or something else will, and the Stoics would tell you, the greatest waste is a life unlived. So let's rebuild yours, starting now. Before we talk about rebuilding your life, we need to understand why so many of us end up stuck in the first place. Because you don't just wake up one morning and feel lost for no reason. It happens gradually, like fog rolling in, until you can't even see where you're going anymore. One reason is distraction. The world today is designed to pull you in every direction except the one that matters. Your phone pings, your email fills, your social feed scrolls endlessly, and without realizing it, your days are consumed by noise. You're reacting to life instead of creating it, and after weeks, months, even years of that cycle, you lose sight of yourself. Another reason is comfort. It sounds strange, but sometimes the very thing keeping us stuck is how safe we feel. Comfort is seductive. It whispers, don't push too hard, don't take the risk, don't step outside the familiar. And so, you stay exactly where you are, not because it's fulfilling, but because it's easy. But the Stoics warned against this. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a life of ease leads to weakness of spirit, and weakness of spirit is the fastest way to drift into a life that feels meaningless. There's also the silent trap of comparison. Every time you open your phone, you see someone else who looks like they've figured it out. The perfect career, the perfect partner, the perfect lifestyle, and in the face of that, your own progress feels small. Your own life feels like it's not enough. But what you don't see is the invisible struggle behind those curated images. You measure your behind the scenes against someone else's highlight reel, and of course, you come up short. The Stoics remind us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Much of your despair isn't about your actual life. It's about the story you're telling yourself. And then there's fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of wasting time. But ironically, the very act of letting fear control you is what wastes your time. You spend so much energy trying not to fail that you fail to live. Seneca said, It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. And nothing wastes more than fear. So why do you feel stuck? Because distraction, comfort, comparison, and fear have taken root in your daily life. They've been running the show quietly in the background, and you've been living on autopilot. But here's the good news. Once you name the forces keeping you stuck, you can begin to strip them away. That's what this 7-day reset is about. Not fixing everything at once, but removing the chains one by one, until you finally have the clarity and strength to move forward. Every rebuilding process begins with a clearing. Think about it. Before you build a new house, you clear the land. Before you start a new chapter, you close the old one. And if you're serious about resetting your life, the very first thing you need to declutter is not your room, not your desk, not even your closet. It's your mind. Your mind has been carrying so much weight. Endless to-do lists, regrets from the past, anxieties about the future, and that weight doesn't just sit quietly. It drains you, distracts you, and makes you feel like you're always falling behind. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, in his journal, reminded himself to let go of the unnecessary, to focus only on what was within his control. That's where day one begins, creating mental clarity. So how do you declutter your mind? You start by slowing down. Take a notebook, sit quietly, and pour out every thought circling in your head. Don't edit, don't organize, don't worry about making sense. Just write everything down. Worries, tasks, frustrations, random ideas. All of it. This is called a mind dump. And it works because once your thoughts are on paper, they stop bouncing endlessly inside your head. Next, separate what's within your control from what's not. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When you look at that messy list, you'll notice something. Half of it is outside your control, other people's opinions. Things that might happen, the past you can't change, those belong in the trash pile of your thoughts. You acknowledge them, then release them. What remains are the things you can influence, and those are the only things worth your energy. Another step to decluttering your mind is practicing silence. Not scrolling, not texting, not consuming, just sitting in stillness. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, don't fear stepping away from the constant noise. Even 5 minutes of silence in the morning can reset your mental state more than an hour of social media ever will. And here's a truth we don't often admit. Your mental clutter isn't just from external noise. It also comes from broken promises to yourself, the half-started goals, the things you told yourself you'd do but never did. Each one lingers in your subconscious like an unfinished sentence. Day one is the time to forgive yourself for what's undone, not by ignoring it, but by choosing intentionally which goals are worth carrying forward and which need to be let go. When your mind is clear, something powerful happens. You see your life with fresh eyes, you stop feeling like you're drowning in chaos, and you realize you're not as lost as you thought. Day one is not about fixing everything. It's about creating the mental space to even begin. And once that space is open, real rebuilding becomes possible. If day one was about clearing the clutter in your mind, day two is about reclaiming your body. Because let's be honest, you can't rebuild your life if your body feels like it's working against you. You can have all the ambition, all the goals, all the clarity in the world, but if you wake up sluggish, tired, and weak, you'll struggle to take even the smallest steps forward. The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, reminded himself to get up each morning and face his duties, even when his body wanted to stay in bed. Epictetus, who lived much of his life as a slave, still preached self-discipline over comfort. They understood that your body is the vessel through which your mind and soul express themselves. If the vessel is broken down, your spirit struggles to move. So, what does resetting your body look like in just one day? It starts with the basics, the things we often ignore because they seem too simple. First, move. Not a perfect gym routine, not a 2-hour workout, but something, a walk, a stretch, a few push-ups. Movement wakes up your body, gets your blood flowing, and sends a signal to your brain. We are alive, and we are capable. Second, pay attention to what you put into your body. Most of us underestimate how much our food choices shape our moods, energy, and even our clarity of thought. The Stoics practiced moderation, never indulgence. never excess, Seneca said. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. Apply that to food. You don't need extremes, you need balance. Eat in a way that fuels, not numbs. That might mean replacing heavy meals with lighter, cleaner foods, or simply cutting back on the junk that makes you feel sluggish. Third, reclaim your rest. Sleep is not laziness. It's fuel, and yet many of us wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. But think about it. How can you rebuild a broken life if your foundation is fatigue? The Stoics valued rhythm, order, and discipline, and that includes the discipline of giving your body what it needs most. Real, consistent rest. Go to bed earlier, wake up at a set time, and treat your sleep like part of your practice, not an afterthought. And here's the overlooked part. Your relationship with your body isn't just about health, it's about respect. When you care for your body, you're not just being healthy. You're reminding yourself that you are worthy of strength, worthy of energy, worthy of life. Discipline over your body creates discipline in every other part of your life. Day 2 is not about becoming an athlete or hitting perfection overnight. It's about sending a clear message. This body matters, and I will treat it like it does. Once you make that shift, your energy, your clarity, and your drive will all align, and suddenly, the work of rebuilding doesn't feel impossible. It feels within reach. Day 1 cleared your mind. Day 2 restored your body. Now day 3 asks the deeper question, what are you even building toward? Because let's be real, many of us aren't tired because of work itself. We're tired because we're working without meaning. We wake up, go through the motions, chase goals that look good on the outside but feel empty on the inside, and then we wonder why nothing satisfies us. The Stoics believed that life without purpose was like a ship without a rudder, always drifting, never arriving. Seneca said, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Think about that. You could be working harder than ever. You could be hustling, grinding, doing all the right things. But if you don't know where you're going, you'll always feel lost. So how do we reconnect with purpose in just one day? Not by finding the perfect life mission, not by discovering some grand cosmic secret, but by asking honest, grounding questions. What do you value most? What kind of person do you want to become? And most importantly, what do you want your life to stand for when it's all said and done? This doesn't have to be complicated. Purpose isn't always about chasing something huge. It's about direction, clarity, and alignment. For Marcus Aurelius, purpose wasn't glory or luxury. It was duty. His role as emperor was simply to serve, to protect, to lead with justice. For Epictetus, who owned nothing, purpose was freedom, living by virtue, not by chains. Your purpose might be raising a family with love, building a business that solves a real problem, writing words that outlive you, or simply becoming the kind of person who leaves people better than you found them. It doesn't matter what it looks like, it matters that it feels true. So today, take a quiet moment and write it down. Even if it's just a sentence, even if it feels rough and incomplete, put it on paper. Because a written purpose is harder to forget, harder to ignore, harder to run away from. And here's where the Stoic reset comes in. Once you've named your purpose, start aligning your actions. Not tomorrow, not next year, but today ask, does this choice move me closer to who I want to become or further away? Each yes builds momentum. Each no clears the path. The beauty of day 3 is that purpose doesn't have to solve everything. You don't need a 10-year plan. You just need a reason to wake up tomorrow and keep going. Because when you have that reason, every struggle becomes bearable. As Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. And the Stoics live by that truth every single day. So today, don't chase perfection, chase clarity, rebuild not just with discipline, but with direction, because without a compass, even the strongest ship will wander. But with one, even the smallest steps will carry you to the right shore. By day 4, you've cleared your mind, strengthened your body, and reconnected with your purpose. Now it's time to give your life structure. Because clarity without discipline is like a map without movement. You know where to go, but you never take the steps. The Stoics weren't just philosophers. They were practitioners of routine. Marcus Aurelius didn't just think about virtue. He trained himself daily to live it, Epictetus didn't just teach resilience, he practiced it in every restriction of his enslaved life. They knew that discipline wasn't about punishment, it was about freedom, freedom from being controlled by impulses, moods, or circumstances. Think about your own life. How many times have you promised yourself you'd change, only to fall back into the same cycles? It's not because you're weak, it's because you didn't build systems strong enough to hold you when motivation fades, and motivation will fade. That's why discipline matters. So today, don't try to change everything. Instead, design one simple routine that aligns with your purpose. Wake up and do something that grounds you. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's stretching, maybe it's reading a single page of philosophy. Pick a consistent time to work on your most important task of the day before distractions creep in, and end your night with reflection. Ask yourself, did I live true to my values today? The key here isn't intensity, it's consistency. Anyone can do something hard for a week, but the Stoics believe greatness comes from small actions repeated daily. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Every wasted day chips away at your potential. Every disciplined day builds a foundation, brick by brick. And here's the secret. Discipline isn't just about control, it's about trust. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, you prove you can rely on your own word. Each time you wake up when you said you would, or finish the task you wanted to avoid, you strengthen the voice inside that says, "I can." And that voice is what carries you through storms. So today, commit to one small, repeatable action. Don't aim for perfection, aim for sustainability. Maybe it's a 20-minute walk, maybe it's writing 200 words, maybe it's meditating for 5 minutes. The action itself doesn't matter. The consistency does, because over time, those small choices compound. And what once felt impossible becomes automatic. Remember, day 4 isn't about building a life you can't maintain. It's about creating a rhythm you can dance to every day. That rhythm becomes your anchor, your shield, your discipline. And once you have that, no distraction, no setback, no storm can easily knock you off course. So start today, start small, and start steady, because discipline is less about conquering the world and more about conquering yourself. By day 5, you've built mental clarity, physical strength, purpose, and discipline. But here's the truth. None of it will hold if your emotions control you. Because life isn't just about what happens outside. It's about how you respond inside. The Stoics believed this deeply. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This wasn't theory for them. It was survival. Think about your own life. How many times have you let anger ruin a relationship? How many times has fear stopped you from taking a chance you knew you wanted? How many times has sadness kept you stuck in the past while the present moved forward without you? You see, emotions are powerful, but they don't have to be dictators. They can be messengers, teachers, even allies, if you learn how to master them. So how do you do that? The first step is awareness. When anger rises, don't immediately lash out. Pause, notice it, give it a name. When fear creeps in, don't let it paralyze you. Observe it like a cloud passing across the sky. When sadness weighs heavy, don't drown in it. Sit with it, acknowledge it, but remind yourself it isn't forever. Because the moment you name an emotion, you create space between you and it. And in that space, freedom lives. The second step is reframing. Ask yourself, is this thing within my control? If yes, act with courage. If no, release it with grace. This simple filter, the Stoic dichotomy of control, can stop endless cycles of worry, rage, or regret. Why? Because you stop wasting energy on what was never yours to control in the first place. The third step is practice. Emotional mastery doesn't come from one day of meditation or one journal entry. It comes from facing life's storms and refusing to let them sweep you away. It comes from failing, learning, and trying again. The Stoics didn't avoid pain. They used it to strengthen themselves. And you can do the same. Imagine this. Instead of yelling when you're cut off in traffic, you breathe and let it go. Instead of spiraling when a project fails, you study the lesson and try again. Instead of collapsing under rejection, you use it as fuel to grow stronger. This is emotional mastery, not denial, not suppression, but transformation. By day 5, your task is this. Notice one emotion today and choose your response consciously. Don't let it drag you by the neck. Stand firm, acknowledge it, and decide. Because once you learn to master your emotions, you master your life, and in that mastery, you'll find a calm that no chaos can touch. By day 6, you've started rebuilding your mind, your body, your habits, and even your emotions. But here's a truth many people forget. Life isn't meant to be lived alone. The Stoics reminded us again and again that we are part of something bigger. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee," meaning, your well-being is tied to the well-being of others. Think about it. When life feels empty, it's rarely because you don't own enough things. It's because you feel disconnected from family, from friends, from purpose. Humans are wired for connection. Even the most disciplined Stoic philosopher lived as a father, a teacher, a friend, a citizen. They understood that relationships, when built with wisdom, are the backbone of a meaningful life. So let's be honest. How many of your current relationships are draining you instead of building you? How many times have you stayed in toxic cycles because you feared being alone? And on the flip side, how many times have you neglected the people who truly care because you were too busy? Day 6 is about changing that. The first step is clarity. Look at your circle. Who lifts you higher and who pulls you down? Who makes you feel alive and who makes you feel small? This isn't about cutting people off coldly. It's about recognizing where your energy flows, because the Stoics taught us to focus on what nourishes the soul, not what poisons it. The second step is presence. When was the last time you really listened to someone without checking your phone? When was the last time you had a conversation that wasn't rushed, that wasn't shallow, but deep and human? The Stoics valued presence as much as they valued wisdom, because the gift of your attention is one of the purest forms of love. The third step is service. Ask yourself, how can I be of value to others today? Not in grand gestures, but in small, consistent ways. A kind word, a helping hand, a moment of encouragement. These ripple further than you think, Seneca wrote. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness, and that kindness is often what transforms relationships into lifelong bonds. But here's the challenge of day 6. Reach out to one person today, maybe a friend you've lost touch with, maybe a parent, maybe someone who's supported you quietly. Call them, message them, or better yet, meet them. Don't just ask about the weather or their job. Ask how they're really doing, and listen, because in that moment, you'll feel the truth the Stoics lived by. Life is not about you alone. It's about us. As you strengthen your relationships, you'll find that your journey of rebuilding isn't just about personal growth. It's about shared strength, shared wisdom, and shared love. By day 6, you're not just rebuilding your life. You're rebuilding the community around you. And that, more than anything, will give your life meaning that lasts. Here we are, day 7. You've cleared your mind, strengthened your body, rebuilt your habits, confronted your fears, redefined your emotions, and reconnected with people who matter. But if there's one thing that ties everything together, it's this: purpose. Without purpose, discipline fades, motivation dies, and even success feels empty. That's why so many people climb to the top of their career ladders only to feel hollow. Because they realized the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. The Stoics understood this danger. They lived not for wealth, not for fame, not even for comfort. They lived for virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. They believed that a life well lived is one where every action aligns with your highest values. Ask yourself right now, why do you wake up in the morning? Is it for a paycheck? For survival? Or is it for something deeper? If your answer feels weak or shallow, that's not a judgment. It's an invitation to rebuild with intention. If this is hitting something in you, click the subscribe button, not because of anything, but as a way to always get notified of more videos like this. Day 7 is about declaring your reason for being, not a perfect, final version, but a guiding star, something that helps you endure when things get hard. Something that reminds you, this is why I'm here. Here's how you find it. First, look at your pain. Often, Your deepest purpose is hidden inside your deepest wounds. The struggles you've faced can fuel the mission you give to the world. If you've battled loss, maybe your purpose is to bring hope to others. If you've struggled with fear, maybe your purpose is to inspire courage. Your scars aren't shame. They're instructions. Second, look at your strengths. What do you do naturally, without force? What skills, insights, or qualities do others come to you for? The Stoics taught that nature equips us with tools for service. Your strengths are not random. They're clues to your role in the world. Third, look beyond yourself. A purpose that only serves you is too small. Real purpose echoes into the lives of others. It could be raising your children with love, building a business that solves real problems, teaching, writing, creating. Whatever it is, make sure it contributes to the greater whole. Because when your life touches others, meaning multiplies. Now here's today's challenge. Write down one sentence that captures your guiding purpose. Not a fancy vision statement, not something to impress others, just a clear, honest truth. Maybe it's, my purpose is to help people believe in themselves, or my purpose is to live with courage and teach others to do the same. Or even, my purpose is to be present for the people I love. Keep it raw, keep it simple, keep it real. When you live with purpose, ordinary days become extraordinary. Challenges become tests of alignment, not just obstacles, and every choice, big or small, becomes part of a bigger story. By day 7, you've not only rebuilt your life, you've given it a foundation, a direction, and a meaning. And as Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Don't just think about purpose. Live it every single day. So you've walked through all 7 days. You've cleared your mind, faced your fears, rebuilt your habits, reconnected with people, and rediscovered purpose. But here's the truth. Real change isn't built in a week. It's built in what you repeat every single day. The Stoics didn't just have big breakthroughs. They had practices, rituals they returned to morning and night. They understood that discipline fades if it's not renewed. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal every morning, reminding himself of virtue, humility, and patience. That's why Epictetus urged his students to rehearse philosophy daily, not just study it like theory. So what does a Stoic daily practice look like for you? It's not complicated. It doesn't need hours. It's about small, repeatable steps that anchor your mind and heart in the right direction. Morning practice. Begin with clarity. When you wake up, don't rush for your phone. Pause, breathe, and set your intention for the day. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not what do I want to achieve, not how much money do I want to make, but who do I want to show up as? Maybe today you need patience, maybe courage, maybe self-control. Choose one virtue and carry it into every action. Midday practice. Pause and reset. Life will pull you in 100 directions. Work pressures, distractions, unexpected frustrations. That's why the Stoics practiced what Seneca called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of misfortunes. They reminded themselves, daily, things will go wrong. People will disappoint me. I will fail at times. When you expect setbacks, they don't break you, they train you. So at midday, pause for 5 minutes, review. What's gone well? Where have I slipped? How can I return to my intention? Evening practice, reflect and release. The day ends, and so must your striving. At night, write down what you did well, where you failed, and what you learned. No judgment, no shame, just clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote pages not to impress anyone, but to examine his own heart. That's how growth happens, not in perfection, but in reflection. Then release the day, sleep in peace, and begin again tomorrow. The Stoic daily practice is not about adding more to your plate. It's about making your plate lighter. It's about freeing yourself from wasted effort, shallow distractions, and reactive living. It's about transforming your life one consistent choice at a time. Here's your challenge for today. Design your daily Stoic rhythm. Choose one thing to do in the morning, one thing at midday, and one thing at night. Keep it simple, but keep it sacred, because it's not the big resets that transform your life. It's the daily resets that keep your life aligned. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Your 7-day rebuild was just the start. Your daily practice is how you make it last. Now, before you go, I want you to take one last step. If this message stirred something in you, If it gave you clarity, strength, or direction, don't keep it to yourself. Carry it forward, live it, share it, practice it daily. And if you want more lessons like this, more tools to master yourself and stand firm in a chaotic world, then subscribe to this channel, not because it's just another YouTube button, but because this is a space where we rise together, where we sharpen each other, where philosophy isn't dusty and distant, but alive and urgent. So subscribe, stay with me, and let's keep building this life, one thought, one day, one discipline at a time, because the journey doesn't end here. It only begins. The reset isn't the finish line, it's the starting point. And I promise you this, if you keep walking, if you keep choosing, if you keep showing up, your life will not just change, it will transform. So, are you ready?